Howdy ho, everybody. Welcome to the late stream. We're late. We're not caught up with all the other content creators, but that's okay. I was busy yesterday. I was scraping popcorn off of ceilings and installing a disposal. Why can I never remember it's called disposal? A garbage disposal. So I've been busy. Lots going on. I had to help my sister-in-law move from Georgia to North Carolina, so it's been busy. Normally I turn on a little music, but we're gonna be listening to the sounds of the Kyowa Warrior. Welcome. If you're new here, hello. It doesn't get any better than this. This is about it's all downhill from here. I'm not a professional streamer, or a professional content creator, though I do okay, I think. But we're gonna take a look at the Kyowa Warrior today. I did fly it for a little bit in the Army, a smidge, about 10 years, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to say because you kind of bounce back and forth and do other things, but about 10 years. I guess I got about 2,000 hours. I think I was just under or just at 2,000 hours flying it. So I know a little bit, enough to be dangerous. And I really like this one. I honestly do. A little backstory. I have known about the Kyowa Warrior from Polychop for as long as I've had this channel. Actually longer. And it was not always in a great place. It was a little rough. And then there was COVID, and that kind of slowed things down. And it's gone through a lot of challenges. I know some don't believe this. I know this is hard. I got like stuff on my camera. I am not a paid spokesperson. I get not a dime from Polychop or ED or anything like that. Hey, thanks for the subscription. So I don't have any reason to say this, but it's pretty good. The flight model is pretty good. It's enjoyable to fly. I know there's been some complaints about it hovering, looking very stable. That's when the AI is flying it, and I'll agree the AI just holds it fucking rock solid, which I will tell you in real life, if you ever see an Apache in hold modes, it's like a hummingbird. You know, hummingbirds just kind of sit there and they don't move a muscle though, and they're like stay in space. That's what an Apache looks like. Kiowa not so much because we don't have all that stuff, but with the AI flying, he's very good. He's very good. But we'll see that in time. I know there's people that they're harp on that stuff. They're very pedantic. I don't do pedantic usually. Sometimes I get a little pedantic, but not about flight model and not about video games. So I'm excited. As excited as a 45-year-old man with 4 kids and a mortgage can be for a video game, I'm excited that we have the Kiowa, or soon have the Kiowa. You might hear a sound every now and then. It's hot today. I'm not going to turn off the AC because I'll be sweating like a whore in church. But I'm going to leave that on. It'll come on every now and then. So if you hear some weird sound behind, it's not... It's okay. I'll be all right. We're going to fight through it together. I came across some pictures I thought I might share. Do you guys want to see some pictures? I don't really care. I'm going to show you my pictures anyway. I did find some pictures that I came across, and I put them in a video recently, some of them I think, and I'll show them here. Let me find. Okay. All right. We'll look at some pictures together. I was going down memory lane. Get this. Here we go. There's a picture. So this was route... Ooh, what route was that? Route Santa Fe, I think. So this is outside of Mosul, or there's like 5 different ways of saying it. We always just said Mosul. But this was... these were little... I know you guys probably can't see it. These little ASVs. Let me see if I can zoom in. I can't remember what it stands for, if it even had a thing. These things freaked us out because when we deployed in 2006, we had no idea what these were. These were new, and they look a lot like a Birdum. So the first time we saw them, we're like, do we shoot these? Like, we didn't know what was going on. It was very confusing. But this was just a convoy that was heading down route. I think it's Santa Fe. I can't remember anymore. This was outside of Mosul heading to Talafar, or Talafar, or Talafar. Again, 5 different ways of saying it. But obviously I was taking this picture. Let's see. This is just Iraq. I think this is up near the monasteries outside of Mosul, there's this monastery like built into the side of the mountain. I don't know if I have a picture of that handy, but we flew over there. But we weren't really supposed to go over there, but like when it would get really boring, 'cause it was probably like about 20-minute flight outside of the city. So we would like, let's go look at the monastery, but we can't really leave. So we would turn off our Blue Force trackers because it used to, they would fail. So we would just like turn it off and then fly out there so no one could tell where we were. And then we would talk on the radio, like the radio that we knew headquarters was listening to. And we'd act like we were somewhere else, but like, hey, let's go over to route drill. Okay, Roger. And it would be like, all right, we're going to the mosque on the other frequency. It's terrible. But we used to do that and go look at the mosque or go look at other things outside the city. And normally it was fine. There was one time I remember like we were outside and then we could hear like a bomb had gone off. We're like, ah, shit. So we like raced back over there. But it was fine. Normally it was fine. This is obviously one of the aircraft. You could tell it's deployed not just because of the desert, but because we didn't have the cool landing gear. I'll show that here in a little bit. I'm really excited that Polychop did that. That's really cool. I'm glad that they gave some options. So you got the ALQ-144. This is the jammer, IR jammer. And we won't dig too deep into how that works. It's magic. And then the normal standard nerd landing gear that doesn't squat. You can see it's got a couple rockets in the pods. You can see that little foil there. I don't know if you guys can see that little foil. So you can tell that rockets are loaded. What else? Got some antennas. I don't remember all the antennas. I think this was the GPS antenna. I think that was the UHF antenna. I don't remember. I did watch a kid knock this with his shoulder one time. We were in the FARP and he like ducked under the tail boom, which you weren't supposed to do, but he ducked under the tail boom and just popped that thing right off. And I was sitting next to, it was my wingman. I was like, hey man, the crew chief the armament kid just knocked your antenna off. The mass mounted sight, the little ET looking thing, which stowed in the rear position. So that's why a lot of times you'll see it in the back, but it spins around obviously when you turn it on. That's the exhaust. Got the shroud off. Let's see what else we got. Oh, there's a young Casmo full of life. I know it's been said that I never smile, but come on. That's a smile. And my little combat stash, little porn stash. That's the only time till I got out of the army. Actually, no, that the day I got out of the army, I had a mustache because I was like, fuck it. Yeah, that was the optimism. That I was, I think, 28, 27, something like that. But so our kit, so you can see we wore body armor. Which this body armor sucked. We get some cool stuff later, but this was the first. M9 mags. Let's see, that was my survival radio and my little shitty pouch. I don't remember what was up. Obviously some sort of med kit in one of these. I can't. The other was probably a flashlight. M9, our little M4s with, we had these weird, I don't know, things. They look different. The shroud or whatever. I don't remember what it's called. This was my favorite flight suit. This was the tan 2-piece flight suit. A lot of pilots are like, oh, the 1-piece is the best. No, the 1-piece is garbage. The 1-piece is awful. And go to hell if you think otherwise. Don't go to hell. But I don't like the 1-piece because you have to, it's like wearing a onesie. What am I, a child? Like I have to take it all off to go take a shit? Like it's ridiculous. So I like the 2-piece because I felt like a normal adult male, and these are like pajama comfortable. They were really nice. But yeah, I was full of optimism and vigor. Had not been shot yet, didn't have a combat patch, so this was my first time in combat. This is in Mosul. This is the parking pads that we would park at. Everybody's out flying, I guess. Somebody didn't stow the light, the aircraft. Rocket bird. Probably my favorite. It's probably why I'm smiling, because I love rockets. Look up on the dash. Got a helmet there. It was good. There's hooks here that you can hang the helmets on, but it's best not to do that because the sun is a thing, and it'll just heat that. And your helmet will get so hot, you'll put it on, and you'll have imprints of heat. The M4 sleeve. There's my hat. Apparently, a bunch of other stuff. But you'll see the cockpit's always junky, which is why Polychop is added. Here's me not smiling. I don't know what happened. I remember this day, sort of. I remember this was like really early in the morning. Like we were done flying and it was like 6 a.m. So this is what I look like when I've just been flying for a really long time and I'm just tired. I've got the survival vest on. The last picture didn't have that. I just had the armor on. But I was unhappy. There's Luke. There's Boots. Boots Dotson. Yeah. I don't remember why I was unhappy, but I know I was unhappy. But I was happy because I would wear that hat and no one would give me shit. It's like the only time in the Army you could wear the boonie cap. Here we are flying around. That's the old 50 cal, not the M3P, but that's the old original 50 cal. And you can see it was built into this weird cage. These were very unreliable. The gun itself is a reliable gun, but just in this situation, it was not reliable. So I did not like carrying it because I didn't know if it was going to actually work. Sometimes you could take it to the test range, shoot, and then like that would be it, but you wouldn't know until you're like diving in on something and you're like, I gotta shoot, and nothing would come out. So it's not cool. But this is out. I feel like this is out west or east of Mosul. I feel like that's Kurdish. There's grass, so it's probably close to Kurd land. They're the only people that could get grass. This is when we deployed into Iraq, so you can see all the aircraft. We flew the squadron up, like it was a 2-day trip. We went from Kuwait to somewhere, I don't remember where, and then stopped for the night, then flew out. So we parked all the aircraft out here, so I don't know how many's out here, but we had 30 in a squadron. So I think that's where that was. I don't remember. What else? This is us, I guess, flying into that place. You can see aircraft coming in. This was Scott Nance. He was our squadron senior pilot, SIP, the standardization instructor pilot for the squadron. And this was Mike Pyatt, who unfortunately lost his life due to mental reasons when he retired. Was a great dude, but he was our squadron commander, overseeing stuff there. This is obviously from the cockpit as we're getting ready to go do whatever. Yeah, I don't know where that's not Mosul. I don't know where that's Balad or something probably. That's, yeah, just a shadow. If you're not familiar with those are cast by sun or some other light source behind you. I think that's, oh no, that's me. That's me and Tim. As you can see, a junky cockpit, so hat, my kneeboard, empty Gatorade bottles. Actually, that one's not empty, maybe. Which I did not pee in, so I know people probably say, well, there's a probably there so you could pee in them. I did not do that. I didn't like to litter either, so I guess probably I drank them and I just threw them up on the dash. But I don't know where we are. It may be Mosul, because we're kind of in a little bit of a bowl. Definitely combat stash is rocking. I'm very excited to be there with Tim. Tim now flies for Hawaiian, I think. Is one of the founding members of RTAG. If you're not familiar with RTAG, that's a sort of charity organization, Rotary to Airline Group, and they kind of work with airlines and stuff and help Rotary guys get jet jobs and stuff like that. You can see that M4 kind of sticking out of that sleeve. Eventually we had different types of, I liked these. These were like really easy. You just kind of undo the Velcro and just slides right out. It's no problem. That is 115. Wow, okay. So this is the aircraft I actually got shot in. 90115, right? On this thing over here. Yeah, 90115. Okay. Old dirty bastard, we called it. It was probably, I think, the oldest bird we had in our, at least in our troop. But it was never the same. In fact, I think it was destroyed after we got shot up because it took so much damage. They were like, well, we'll just write it off. So they got rid of it. Oh, yeah. Old ODB. Let's see, what else? Did you bump into overhead switches? Yes. So behind the pilot, you can't really see it here, but there's some switches. I don't think that's them. I think that's the overhead panel. But behind your head is the IR switch. We can look at it in game. There's a couple switches, and yeah, I'm tall, so I used to flick the IR switch on and off with my head occasionally. But other than that, no, I did fly with a guy. I flew with an Apache guy one time, so I was sitting in the right seat, and it was an Apache pilot, and he'd never flown a Kiowa. And I was like, he was actually the S3, the operations officer, and I was like, hey, Major Shaw, his name was. I was like, you want to go fly sometime? I'll take you out. We were in Afghanistan, but there wasn't much going on at the time. So you want to go fly sometime? I'll take you out. He's like, oh yeah, it'd be cool. So I took him out, and I was like, bring your M4. You can shoot the M4 out the door and throw a smoke grenade. So we go flying out there. And I'm like, okay, when you throw the smoke grenade, like put it in your left hand because the door is at your left, and make sure that, you know, you have it in your left hand because I don't want it in the right hand. I don't want a smoke grenade just going off in the cockpit. So he did that fine, and I said, okay, you can pull your M4 out. I was like, just be careful, you know, there's overhead switches and stuff. He pulled that M4 out, just flicked off everything. The generator's off, all kinds of things are beeping and booping. I was like, okay, but it was fine. It worked out fine. Did you feel completely exposed hanging out the door? Yeah, well, this is the armor side panel. Not that it's huge at all, but it makes you feel a little bit better. It's probably, you know, that thick of Kevlar or whatever, and it kind of slams you. And you can see we are already sitting pretty close, but once you close those doors, you don't have a lot of room to expand. The Velcro would get caught a lot of times on our uniform. But yeah, it was a tight fit, but it did feel a little exposed. Particularly, I remember one day, so Matt Mattingly was killed. He was shot, unfortunately, and killed, and he was shot in the head. And I only bring that up because it kind of plays into the rest of the story. So he was killed September 13th, 2006. The very next day, I can't remember the guy's name. It's right on the tip of my tongue. They're flying along. He gets shot in the helmet. The bullet hits him like in the head, but it goes like through his helmet, goes out the back end. And he said he thought his co-pilot slapped him. He thought the other guy was flying with hit him. He's like, why'd you hit me? So we were very freaked out. So in 24 hours, there were two headshots. It was disturbing us. And so that night I got into a scrap. I was sitting in the left seat, and I remember we were diving down to draw fire because we knew there was like guys in this line, and we were trying to like get them to shoot at us so that we could find them. It sounds stupid when I say it like that, but that's what we used to do. And I remember getting as small as I could, which is not easy for me, but as small as I could behind that panel, because yeah, luck was not on our side, it seemed like, during that time period. But anyway, I think that's the last picture I found. There's other ones and some videos and stuff, but you guys didn't come for that. You came to look at the actual module. So we will do that.
I'm gonna send you up against the best.
All right, so I'm still getting stuff sorted because doing pre-release stuff is very difficult if you're not like a gamer and a hacker, because there's a lot of like weird stuff you got to do to files. And I swear to God, I've done multiple pre-release things, and it's always different. It's always different. It's like with this company, it's like, we'll download this thing, and with this company, it's, we'll put this file over here. So it's a lot of mix. So this is a very new build for me. I've just got it started today, and then we'll kind of play with it together and take a look at it. Did you tell why you left on a stretcher? Yeah, because I got shot. Yeah, there in Missoula, in aircraft 115. Okay, so I've just set up something simple. I thought we just fly around, we just shoot some stuff. I did set up a little mission. I didn't even check to see how far this is. This might be too far for me to fly. I don't know. I've had a lot of comments in my videos about where is this on the map. So here, I don't know if I'm not good at geography, but all these valleys here, in fact, this isn't even the same. These valleys here are awesome in the Syria map. There's a lot of interesting terrain here, and so that's where we did some of the videos, because it's really good looking. And now I'm realizing that I put this stuff in the wrong valley, but we're going to take a look, because I've never actually flown here either, so we'll all learn together. I think this one's a rocket bird. We did build a FARP. We can take a look at how to set one of those up the right way. You don't need to build a fort. you don't need little walls and shit. You just put some stuff up. Al Gob Valley. Okay, I figured the one to the south was the Becca Valley. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I've got alerts turned off just because for noise sake, but thank you for the subscription there. It's me, Mario. Let's see. I'm gonna pause it so we don't. So this is the cool guy landing gear. I'm being facetious when I say that, but this is what I always like. This is the rapid deployment landing gear. So you can see, let me zoom in. You can see how it's sort of like, God damn it. Cams kill me. You can see how it's those straight silver bars. So what happens is they basically loosen it and it slides down those bars. So it comes all the way down to its belly. And then the pods or whatever weapon system you have, you actually unbolt it and it folds up. And then you can actually mount a what do you call it? A crane, like a tiny little crane mounts there to the side where those pins are. And then you use that crane and you reach up and you grab the MMS and then unhook the MMS from the side and you stow it alongside and it just kind of stows there on the side. And then the vertical fin, you undo some bolts and it rotates forward. And so what happens is the aircraft gets a little smaller. And of course the blades you fold up, which we folded all the time to put it in the hangar and stuff. But you fold this thing up. I wish I'd thought about it. I got a picture. And then you strap some wheels onto the skids, which there are those bolts, those holes right there. You can see that's where you attach these wheels that you pump up like a little pneumatic press. We used to race each other, like to be one guy on each side. And another dude would go by the tail to keep it from like flopping around. And you just pump as hard as you could, as fast as you could, and try to be the first one done. So anyway, you could do all that stuff, and you could then put 2 of these aircraft on a C-130, which would be cool, DCS, if you're listening. Rapid deployment that way. Or you could put, I want to say it was 8 on a C-17. I never did that, but I did put them on C-130s. But only the 82nd Airborne, and I think the guys in Hawaii, the 25th, had this type of landing gear, I think. Maybe some other guys did, but they didn't really use them. But this is how we typically flew around. But in combat, we took these off because we didn't need them. And I think they were a bit heavier. I can't remember. I don't think it's in DCS. Like, I don't think the weight difference is there. But I like them. I think they look cooler, and that's just what I'm used to. I guess the one bad thing I remember hearing is if you did have a hard landing and crash, they kind of like would, like grab you, essentially, like cage up. So if you had doors on, it could actually block you from getting out. So I guess that was a negative, but I never crashed, so it didn't bother me. Oh, alarming. What else? We talked about the ALQ-144, and then that's the SATCOM radio satellite, the little egg beater looking thing. So we got that going for us, which I don't know, is the SATCOM modeled? I don't know, I'm sure Sven's hanging out. I don't know if the SATCOM is modeled or not. There's those armor side panels, but you can see that's a pretty clean cockpit, actually. There would be a lot more junk up there, snacks, and this little cubby right here, this little like hole or indention. Always full of something. There's something up there. Anyway, we got Rocket, because that's the best bird of all. Remember my mappings. So we're looking good. Everything's turned on. Here's that switch. Yeah, here it is. IR beacon. This is the one that I would turn on and off with my head, because when you wore night vision goggles, you had the battery pack on the back, and there was a cable that ran and it hooked into the front of your helmet. So that cable, I would have to like wrap it around the battery pack, sort of, because it just stuck on with Velcro. But if I didn't do it properly, I think this is probably when I learned it, is it would kind of just stick up this wire, and so as I turned my head, it would flick that switch. And I remember my wingman one time was like, "Hey, why do you guys keep turning your IR light on and off?" Because it was nighttime. And I was like, "I'm not." And that's when I realized it was my head. I'm 6'4", so I'm pretty crowded. Like, my knees would be, not kidding, like right up here along the dash, and I would have to take this. This came off. This was like Velcro. I would rip that off and get rid of it if I was wearing body armor, because I wouldn't be able to fit, and I wouldn't wear a back plate either. Like, I couldn't fit in the aircraft. I wouldn't have full stick motion. It would be up in my sack. DCS, how does the flight model compare to the Apache? I mean, it's apples and oranges, because the Apache flies very differently. I will say that this is more accurate to what it's representing than the Apache one is to that, if that makes sense. The Apache's hard though because there's a lot going on with like the hold modes and the force trim and stuff. The Kiowa is a helicopter. You don't have to worry about that stuff. Do you picture your first ever rocket every time you use them? I wish, because my first ever rocket actually hit the target. After that, it's you know, it's up to the gods. I've had some good hits, but I've had a lot of misses. Most people miss with rockets. I mean, they're not really made. They're an area effect weapon, so 6.6. Yeah, you probably would not fit in here. It all depends on where your length is. So my sitting height is 101 centimeters, and I know that because the max for flying in the Army was 102 centimeters. And the first time I took my flight physical, I failed. And the guy was like, "Oh, you're too tall." I was like, "What do you mean I'm too tall?" He's like, "Oh, you're 102 centimeters. You're supposed to be 101." And I was like, "Take it again." And I just scratched out like this. And he measured me and I passed. So that's how I got into flight school, was I lied. But if you have long legs, yeah, the Kiowa was not for you. The good thing is the pedals, you can see, are just bars of metal. So you could stretch your legs out and just kind of rest your ankles on those bars, so it wasn't too bad. And I would just dangle my foot out, like if we were sitting on the ground like this, that door would be open and my foot would be dangling out the side. Actually, my foot would touch the ground because everyone would make fun of me. That's how they knew I was in the aircraft. This is what I was told. So we're good across the board. We're looking for that 100. It's really 101, I guess you could say on this. But you want that yellow chiclet. We got the Inker Dinker switch, which I know some people were laughing that I call it the Inker Dinker, but we just bump that up during engine start to 100%. Make sure that we're good. We got the MPD. We'll make sure that we're at 100% NR right there, 100% MP. Fuel quantity, we got 410 on board. We generally just leave it there. You might check the voltage of the battery or something at some point, but who cares? We got fuel. It's DCS. We could turn on the MMS if we wanted to. It should be already on. Yep, there it is. But we'll save frames. We'll bring up an HSD. And again, this is his side. Like, I'm not over here touching buttons like if he was a dude. You know, he's got his own thing. You just kind of stay on your side. Some of my friends complained about the simplified flight model mode because they said bad pilots will abuse it in PvP. I mean, sure. I don't know. I guess I have mixed emotions about that because you're not a real pilot, so like you might need help, and that's okay. I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm just saying you may not have the background to lean on. So I don't know. I don't play PvP really because it's not fun to me, because it's not replicating warfare. It really isn't. Like, you log on to Growling Sidewinder server and you just fly around. You're not replicating anything. You're playing Airquake. So let's see. Trying to catch up with some comments here. I may put this on YouTube and the comments won't be there. The AI, listen, the AI in this thing is fucking top notch. All right. I don't care what anyone says. I know someone who hates this, but he also hates everything else. This is fucking legit. I mean, you can get into the semantics of, well, do I need it to look like this? Fuck, man, it's art. You know, people are going to make their art and either you're going to like it or you're not, but this interface is incredibly helpful, and the AI is, as I said in a video that I have not released yet, it's seamless. It really works well. Maybe we'll play with it a little bit, but it's super helpful. Especially because this is a two-person aircraft. Look, here's the deal. This is the whoop-ass switch right here. This is how you shoot stuff. He has no whoop-ass switch, so he can't shoot from over there unless he reaches over here. I don't have a laser switch. He does. So this is very much a two-person aircraft, but the way it's set up, you can do stuff together, or you can do stuff by yourself. You can, I can move. Well, I don't have it mapped because I'm gonna have to map stuff. Oh, I'm so angry that there's a new version. I have all my controls mapped except that. So we're gonna map that real quick, but we'll continue to talk about stuff. But the point is, you can go ahead and map stuff, and you can do stuff from the right seat. So I can move my MMS. Find it. There it is. Let's see. Throttle. We'll go the horizontal and the vertical. Fuck, I don't remember any of the controls I had. Everybody stand by. It's been a busy morning. I've tried to do as much as I could, but I failed. Let's see, area track. Well, I'm trying to remember what I had all this shit mapped to real quick. Let's see, I had no, got that. Oh. It was fuck me. That. But let's see, sensor select. That. Target locate was that. Trimmer reset. Do not fly with a trimmer. You can fly with a trimmer if you want. I just don't like it. Fire laser is definitely that. Field of view was that. Wide was that. Actually, oh, I know what I did wrong. This was this. That's probably enough to get us going. So. I think so. We'll find out. But anyway, I can move from the right seat, so I can go ahead and map everything. No, it was not released today. This is just in the process of when they build these things for us to do pre-release type stuff. Looks at there's new versions, of course, which I hate. I wish. Yeah, it doesn't matter what I wish. I wish they would just come up with the version that's going to get released, give it to content creators 2 weeks and then release it. That's what I wish, but nobody cares what I think. It's only the 7th time I've done this. what do I know? All right, so we're gonna go ahead and fly. But yeah, the flight model I think is pretty good. It feels very, as I said in a video, very organic. Force trim, like I was kind of joking about, but I'm being deadly fucking serious. Do not fly with force trim. We didn't fly with the force trim. The force trim in this aircraft works like a normal force trim. If I release the trimmer, which I don't even have mapped because I don't fly with the force trim, the cyclic would stay where it's at when I use the force trim. We did not fly like that. One of the reasons, at least for me, is here's the trim release, and it's a thumb switch. Well, here's the whoop-ass switch. It's a thumb switch. So how do I do both at the same time? That was always my argument to people that wanted to say, well, you should fly with force trim just in case you get shot, then the other guy's got time to react. Or literally, that was told to me. Maybe, ish. I just didn't fly with force trim. The only time we turned on force trim was when we were sitting on the ground, because I could sort of take my hands off the controls, because this thing is a wet noodle. It's not going to happen here because I have a real joystick. But if we were there in the real world and I turn off the force trim, then this is very loose and it's going to kind of go where it wants. And I've been in an aircraft where no one was holding the cyclic and we were at about a 40-foot hover. It does not take long for it to move where it wants. And you will go on a ride with it. And yeah, it was scary. And it was my final check ride in flight school, so it was even scarier because I thought I failed. What is your cyclic setup? I am using a VKB Gunfighter 2. I do not have force feedback, even though I'm on the list for that Rhino thing, I guess. Is that what it's called? He makes like 3 a day, so I'll probably get it sometime next year. But I do have springs and cams, so my stuff is pretty solid. So it is painful to fly the Kiowa. If you're going to be like a hardcore Kiowa pilot, I would say either get the force feedback stuff or take all the springs and cams out and just make your shit a wet noodle and just fly it like a man. Or woman. That's fine too. You're getting your Rhino today. Congratulations. Well done. So anyway, my point is you don't have to do anything with this, because if you're flying a stick like it flies the exact same. But we would turn it off. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the weapons to standby and double check my weapons. So I've got 2 pods of rockets, 10 pounders, HE, super quick, 3,000. Who cares? They're gonna go boom when they hit something, and that's what we want. I don't want that. All right, I want that. And I'll bring that up. So we're gonna fly around. I think it's worth loosening. If you're gonna fly lots of other things and you want clutches for those other things, I would say it's not really worth it. It hasn't been for me. But if you're gonna fly it kind of exclusively, it's probably worth it. You'll be more relaxed. Get our night vision goggles. I do not agree with this, by the way. This is not where I put my goggles. in flight, I would wear them, like put them on my chest, put the thing on. So you had like a lanyard, because this is how they fly right out the door. And you're not a real Kiowa pilot unless you've had something fly out the door. You just hope it's not like your pistol or something. All right, let's see. So like I said, it's a pretty decent flight model. Let's see if I can pick it up. I've only picked it up once with the new build, so I'm sure some things have been tweaked. I'm gonna pull back a little bit on the cyclic because it kind of flies a little nose high. Can't talk and fly, everyone knows this. But let me see if I can get a nice stable hover and we'll pause. Trying to like move my joystick here and my keyboard. Stop moving. See if we can't take a look. I really hate the free cam. I mean, I love it, but I hate it. Sometimes it's a pain in the ass. I'm not in a good hover. So we're kind of drifting forward, and I can tell because the skids are basically level with the ground. The front skid is actually going to hang up a few degrees. So it hovers nose high. Right now we're drifting forward a couple knots, I can tell. But I'm not going to try to crazy stuff there. You'll see it in actually you should see it in the startup video. If you haven't seen the startup video, you should watch that. But right now I'm not touching the collective. And you can see I am, you know, relatively stable altitude-wise. And that's fine. The aircraft has SCAS, Stability Control Augmentation System. So it is going to dampen some unwanted motions out. But I'm kind of just easing the collective a little bit here and there. And that's realistic. In the 206... the Bell 206, which is, you know, like an unmilitarized Kiowa, you know, you were stirring the soup, meaning you were doing this constantly and you were moving the collective constantly. In the Kiowa, you really didn't need to do that because of the SCAS. You'd have to make little corrections. You can see my stick. I'm making little corrections. That's a good hover. We're hovering. We're pissing these FARP kids off because we're blowing them out, but it's got a good feel to it. It's gonna ease up just a little bit of power, let it fall through that ETL. See that shutter, effective translational lift. Now at this point, yeah, there we go. Finally, the smoke or the dust would not stay ahead of us that long. But what do I know? I don't think I have control enter. Well, maybe it does because it's the new version. You guys probably can't even see it. It's so far down there. You can't see it. My screen's too big. But really, I mean, the way that I flew this aircraft was, generally speaking, I set a power setting and just leave it alone. Like, I leave my hand on the collective, but I'd kind of rest it on the collective head. Just kind of hold that power setting and use your cyclic. If the audio is too loud for the game, let me know. Or is it coming through? Because I just realized audio's good. Okay, so I just realized that this is a different build, so everything's different in my stream setup. If it gets too loud, let me know. But like, you do a lot, at least I did a lot of flying just with the cyclic. I just left the collective alone for the most part. And the kind of beauty of this aircraft is it doesn't tell on you in the sense that, like with the Apache, you know, you've got the Pinvis or the HDU, and it's just constantly telling you everything that you're doing, especially when you're hovering. And that's why I was telling new Apache guys when I'd fly with them, was like, stop, just ignore the symbology, because it's telling you everything you're doing wrong. Just look outside the window. But with this aircraft, it's very visual. You know, you didn't spend a lot of time looking at your numbers. You know, and over time you would just know, right? You would just kind of have this sense that I'm going 90 knots. It's kind of like when you're driving. You kind of know when you're going 80. You know, things like that. It's the same concept. You know when you're going too fast. You know when you're going too slow. Yeah, Brenda says that leave the collective alone. Unless you're doing rapid sort of motions and movements, then you want to get into it. But we're not going to talk like transient torques and all that stuff. But yeah, just set it and forget it. That's what I do. But that's what's fun about flying this aircraft is it's more visceral. And I will say again, I did not have high hopes that they'd be able to capture that as well as they have. It really does feel good. The problem right now that I have, and it's 100% a me problem, is because I have those strong springs and cams. I mean, my cyclic is pretty far forward, and so I'm having to hold a lot of pressure on it. But it's got an organic feel. It is not stuck in space. It's going where I want it to go, and it's doing the things that I expect it to do. Let's see how it slows down. Like, that's a nice, gentle, progressive deceleration. Right now I gotta start pulling in power because, you know, because of the situation I'm in, but that's what we want. Then now so for like Huey, and I think they fixed it in the past year or so, but the Huey, that was my biggest complaint against this. Once you hit 40 knots, it just suddenly decelerated rapidly. That was a gradual deceleration that I would expect flying the aircraft. And the same with the acceleration. They do have quite a bit of vibration in the cockpit. There's a slider, I noticed. You can kind of adjust it. So I've adjusted it down a little bit because during effective translational lift, you're going to get a lot of shake, but it's a lot. Did you try VRS? No, because I'm a good pilot. You guys are way hung up on VRS. I'll just, as a community, and not you, I'm not picking on you. I'm just, as a community. I'll put it this way. And maybe I'm embarrassed to say this. I literally never heard the letters VRS put together in the entirety of my flying helicopter career. Like, I remember a DCS person saying it. I was like, what is that? They're like, oh, a vortex ring. I was like, oh. I was like, what about it? I don't want to say it's theoretical because it's not, but it's just not a conversation that people really have. It just isn't. I don't know how to describe it. I wish I could compare it to something that like everyone would understand, but yeah, it's not as big a deal. I don't think I've ever been in it. I think I started to get into it one time, and we were hovering, and we just kind of like slid to the left a little bit and just got into some better air, and that was it. So Brundis may have done it like demonstration because he was an instructor pilot, so he may have done it or something. But it is definitely one of those things that is overdone, and generally speaking, if you find yourself in it, you've probably done something wrong. Yeah, so Brenda, I'm gonna read what Brenda says here because he's got it. Great advice. Understanding what power setting is needed to drive the desired result. Cruise power is applicable to about 90% of all your flying regimes. Climb, cruise power, and 60 knots. Gun, rockets, cruise power, and cyclic movement. Yeah, because, and we can talk about that too, and I'll probably shoot like dog shit because I'm streaming, but if you start changing power setting, look, this is me just messing with the collective. That's all I'm doing. Oh, I just over-torqued a little bit. But all I'm doing is just dropping the collective, bringing the collective up. I'm not touching the pedals. I mean, my feet are on the pedals, but I'm not inducing movement. So when you start effing around with the collective, you're inducing some yaw. So when you're trying to shoot, that's not a good thing. You don't want that. So you definitely want to set it and forget it. Like I said, did I see Maverick's video? About what? I did not. I didn't watch anyone else stream the Kiowa because I was busy. Plus, I'm impatient when I watch other people do stuff and they're trying to figure stuff out. It's like, no! Don't do it that way! Alright, so let's see if we can do some shooting. Now, the crosshairs there want to say something controversial. I did not like those in real life. Not once did I ever put those on there. Sometimes I flew an aircraft that had them, and I would do my best to ignore it, because the problem is this right here. Some people were short and they draw their little X, and then I'd get an aircraft and I'm like this. It wasn't helpful to me. But Polychop has made it super simple, where you can left click and it goes up and down. You can right click, it goes left and right, but you don't really know until you start shooting where it's going. Now I think they've made it where it's going to be persistent. Don't quote me on that, but it's going to be persistent, I believe. So it knows, you know, it's going to keep that setting for you throughout. Again, don't quote me on that, or quote me, I don't give a shit. But you can use that. You just got to get it dialed in. I always use the circle of action, which is not 100%. It's not foolproof, but really nothing in life is. So what I would do is just, again, I've got my power setting. I'm going to put in just a little bit more there, probably about 93, something like that. And I'm just using the cyclic to not crash. Keep my speed up, pulling a little bit more power there. Oh, there's a car right there. I'll miss this car. You know what? Oh, no, I did. But I haven't moved my power this whole time. Go too fast for me. I'll just scare him. But that entire maneuver, I did not touch... I mean, my hand was on a collective, but I didn't do anything. And I didn't really mess with the pedals all that much, except for the top of the bump. That was a pretty extreme bump. I didn't want to shoot and waste a rocket. But you can see I wasn't jerking back. So a lot of you guys are going to have a hard time... if you're coming from Jetland, where you're... Especially if you're like Hornet... If you're one of these Hornet chads who just likes to yank stuff around because you're Maverick. Tom Cruise Maverick, not Maverick the streamer. Maybe he does it too, I don't know. But, you know, jerking the controls around and stuff, it's not a good look. Because that's how you're going to break the aircraft. So it's all very gentle. You know, slow, smooth as fast type stuff. So I'm just bringing that cyclic back. Lead off that airspeed. Gently nose it over. And those went exactly where I wanted them to. They did. They were a little right of what I wanted. But the point is, and if you ever watch this on playback, you'll see that there's a part of the ground that is not moving, and that's generally speaking where your rocket's going to go. Now you gotta take yaw into account and, you know, things like that. But let's see if I can't manipulate these trees to be in the circle of action. I'll nose it over. See that shit? Kablowie. And I knew they were going to land at the trees because the trees were not moving. My perspective of what I was looking at was that the trees were not moving and everything else was slightly moving. It's not 100%. Sometimes you'll screw it up, and that's okay. You just make some adjustments. But it's all cyclic flying. I've been doing this. Like, I'm not touching the collective, so you don't need to really mess with that too much. Now, if you start yanking on this thing, you're going to over torque it. Again, I don't want to get into transient torque because I'm not sure how well it's modeled. I know it's going to be modeled, or it's one of the things that they want to make sure it's tight. I know it used to be tight, like even back when I was testing it ages ago, so I imagine it's pretty good, but I don't want to mess with it. But essentially the idea is that you're changing the airflow and changing angles, and you just got to make some corrections when you do it. Hey, friend. But it's very smooth. And I know some people are concerned because the Gazelle flight model... I don't hate the flight model of the Gazelle. I've never flown a Gazelle. I can understand how things can be that stable. All I can say is this does not fly like the Gazelle. And I proved that the other day, I think to myself, because I couldn't do it on stream. But I put a Gazelle down. I was like, let me remind myself how this thing flies, because I haven't flown it in so long. And it's a very different feel. This actually feels like what I expect a Kyowa Warrior to fly like. I'm going to turn my AC back on, because I'm hot. Not sexually hot. So this is which gas flight model? I mean, the one right now, the one that I flew 3 days ago. Put it that way. They are not the same. What I guess I'm getting at is I don't want people to think that this is just a cookie cutter of that. So if you like the gas, this is going to feel different. If you hate the gas, this is going to feel different. Take from that what you will. But it's very smooth. It's actually fun to fly. Intersection. Boom! 8-ball, corner pocket. God, rockets are so much fun. Brundus, you were a 50 cal guy though, I think. If I recall, you were a 50 cal guy. 50 cal is also fun. Ooh, that's a good question. Can we get a low-level hell sticker on that water bottle? That's a good question in general. Can we just have the water bottle adjustable? That was my troop, by the way. I commanded that troop. Those are my people. Where the fuck am I? Alright, so I'm lost. But I know I put a direct or a waypoint, so I'm gonna go. Let's see. It was waypoint 1, so I'm gonna go previous point, waypoint 1, which is 5 kilometers off the nose. I don't believe that it's a 00 ETE though, so there might be some weirdness going on right there. Oh wait, I'm screwed up. I'm looking at the MMS, not the not the waypoint carrot. So what is the old MMS doing? I think I've let it just wobble around. There. If we can spot the old Farparino. Now we can do direct point 1 whiskey. There it is, store. And then we get that line. So that line appears. And I can tell you what, you may think, oh, what a big deal about a line. The Apache did not have that line. And it was probably one of the biggest gripes that Kiowa guys had of flying the Apache. Was the absence of the line. So you can see that line is dynamic. It's moving with me. So I'm going to go off here. I'm going to put that waypoint off 90 degrees to the right. And that line stays with me. In the Apache, that's not how it worked. You put in a direct waypoint, the line appeared from the point that you entered it, and then if you flew off to the right or left, that line stayed where it was. Which is fine. I can see where you would want that, or there could be some value in that. But I like this way better. And just about every Kiowa guy I know that went to Apaches also liked it better, and we complained about it constantly. Because I guess we expected Boeing to hear us and change it. But that line was helpful because it always just gave me a reference of where I was going, and then I could cross-reference that with my distance. And if I wanted to maintain some distance from my target area, I could say, okay, let me follow the line 3Ks out, I'll break off and do a 90 degree. And you just didn't have that option with the Apache, all things being equal. Why is my son calling me? All right. So there's our FARP right there. Forward arming and refueling point, which again does not need walls and all this stuff. You need, you know, a guy with a radio, a fuel truck, some ammo, and the invisible FARP static option. But look at this fucking approach. Like, that's just, I mean, it's smooth. And I'm not saying that because it's because of me. I mean, I'm smooth, but it feels good. And we're passing through ETL, so we're gonna get that shutter. Now we're gonna have ground friction, which I've been told is totally not DCS, but maybe it is, maybe it isn't. See, I like to land with some forward motion, and that's why I can't in DCS, because I'll break shit. But I always like to land with some forward motion because, one, all that dust. So in the real world, when you're coming in, that dust trail's behind you. Then as you slow down, that dust trail starts coming up. And so if you're getting in a real dusty area, the left seater is probably hanging out the side, and he's giving call outs. He's like, tail, UWP. He's letting you know where that line of dust is, because once you hit it, poof, it's all in front of you, and you can get browned out. And so the goal was get on the ground before that dust line got to you if you could. So I'd always land with a lot of forward, not a lot, but I would land with some forward airspeed and try to prevent that from happening, because it gets a little sporty. But we don't have that option. One, the dust does not move like normal dust, and then the ground friction is a little wonky. I don't know whose fault it is. I don't know if that's an ED thing or a PC thing. I think they both blame the other. I don't know. But I know it happens in the Huey, or it did. I haven't flown the Huey in ages. I know it happens in the Apache, because if I unlock my tail wheel, suddenly I start sliding and shit. So it's not DCS, it just happens to be a common issue between the Huey, Gazelle, and the Kiowa. Right. Exactly. Totally not related. Let's see if I'm close enough to change out. Let's do 50 cal. So we're gonna go rocket and gun. A little bit more juice. You can see here, right here, fuel was at a premium. So in real life deployed, in my last deployment, I didn't even carry 50 cal. We always carried Hellfire and rockets, but you can see the challenge here. You want to maximize station time. I can only take 70% of fuel. So a lot of times what we would do is carry probably 300 rounds of 50 cal, which we can change our ammo count, but I don't want to do that. And then probably change our rocket count. So we'd probably carry like 3 or 4 rockets instead of the 7. Because otherwise you're gonna max gross waste it. APKWS. I've literally never done it in the Kiowa. We can play with it, I guess, but I don't know how to do it. Change the pod to 300 rounds or 100 rounds. Gun ammo for the M4. Oh, really? That gun ammo's for the M4. Oh, so, okay. I didn't know that. Cool. That's interesting. I just want to look at that. Strange. All right. Well, we'll wait till we get reloaded. So you can see we've got the M3P. This is, if you're familiar with the, what's it called?
Rearming complete.
The Humvee Avenger with the Stinger pods. They actually had these underslung on the, I think on the right side. And then when that vehicle was kind of going away, even though it didn't really go away 100%, I think, they had this surplus of guns, and so somehow we got them. They're much better guns. Higher cyclic rate. I think they were 1,200 rounds per minute versus 800 rounds per minute. The old M2. I could be wrong about those numbers, but the way they connected was much better. You can see it doesn't have the cage, so it's saved on weight, but it just connected onto the UWP. It literally looked like that. Like it was just this weird, like it just hung there. But they could take it off. I think there was like 2 bolts holding it. And so if the gun was bad, it was real simple to change. Just pop it off, put a new one on, you're good to go. The old M2 with the cage, you did not have that option. It was a pain in the ass for them to do that. So that's why I did not like the M2 personally, because it was, to me, unreliable. What's the other type of landing gear we see on a Kiowa? So yeah, we talked about this before. This is the rapid deployment gear. This allowed the aircraft to be stuffed into C-130s and stuff like that. And then you've got the standard gear, which is what nerds fly with. Kidding. I know somebody's going to take offense by that. What's my favorite landing gear of all time? It's fine. Alright, so we've got 50 cal on board. We're going to go to the weapons page. We can see rounds enter. We just put in the number of rounds. Offset reticle, and we'll talk about this in a video, but this has to do with like using the mass-mounted sight for aiming, which I did 0 times with the 50 cal. I don't think I ever did that. Maybe during a gunnery you had to, but I don't remember change the rockets by zone. We're not going to do that again. I've got a video that'll come out and all that stuff. But in general, we're ready to go. Oh, I'd never put my weapon to standby. I'd be getting in trouble for that. All right, so I'm going to go weapons select switch to the left. And that, oh, sorry, wrong button. I'm going to bring up the 50 cal. If I go to the right, it'll bring up the rockets. We're up singles. That's what I want because I like to savor each rocket individually. And then the 50 cal is the 50 cal, so it's just going to do what it's going to do. We can recock it if we wanted to. We got to bring the gun to armed, and that seats that bolt. You can sort of hear it. I don't know if you guys could hear it, but you could bring that up. And then if it jammed, you would recock it. So funny story, there was a software update, and we didn't know this at the time, but if you had rockets selected and recocked the gun, it would fire the rockets. There was like a switch or something was bad. Electrical impulse. We discovered that in Iraq. I was on one of the aircraft that discovered that, and it was very confusing. Why suddenly a rocket shot off? Yeah. So they fixed that software pretty quick. But it was a known issue to not to not recock. It was basically a desk pop, yeah, of rockets. All right, force trim's off because it's stupid. Gun is armed. Master's armed. Yeah, we're good. It picks up so good though. It really does. I'm really happy with the flight model. I know people think I'm bullshitting. I know people think that I work for Polyshop and I'm gonna get like $1 every time I say the flight model's good. Whatever, dude. It's solid. All right, 50 cal's armed. I'll probably fly out of trim quite a bit because I don't know that I'm out of trim. I mean, the trim ball's right there, but I never looked at it flying because you flew with doors off and you knew you were out of trim. If I was out of trim like this, the wind would be hitting me right now. It'd be coming in through that door and hitting me. And if I did it the other way, it'd be hitting him. And your Vox, your mic would be, and so you'd kind of know that you were out of trim. So when I went to the Apache, I was always out of trim because I didn't have that feedback, and I wasn't used. Honestly, I just wasn't used to looking at the trim ball, and so I was constantly out of trim flying that thing. And I didn't care. It was big. It was a big dumb animal. Having a hell of a time with the flight model on the Apache. Yeah, it's hard to replicate. It's difficult. So it's difficult to fly in DCS because of that. I don't blame ED for it. Mostly. But in general, trying to replicate that system with everyone's variety of hardware, very difficult. All right, so we've got our 50 cal. We're armed. Everything's ready. Same deal. Circle of action. The good thing with the 50 cal, you can sort of just kind of walk it in. Now I know the sounds. I know some people are not happy with the sounds. I think they're still fine-tuning that stuff. They do seem to, it does seem to end sort of suddenly, kind of cuts off. I've seen that, and I know I have noticed that too in the Apache with the 30. It seems like it sometimes just kind of cuts off, but yeah, again, this is early access. This is not the release version, so if you're just tuning in, you know, we're just taking a look at what's done now, and these last little bits are getting tightened up. Yeah, shooting a gun is fun. Shooting rockets is better. And you used to could do the old shake and bake. You could kind of lead with gun and then finish off with some rockets. They're not quite. In fact, I'm gonna test it because I don't know. I've never done it actually in DCS, but in real life, they weren't necessarily bore-sighted the same. So I think, if I remember correctly, you'd kind of shoot somewhere with the gun, but the rockets would land a little bit lower than that. And so if I ever went in and shot rocket and then followed up, or shotgun and followed up with rocket, I would have to kind of make some adjustments. Thanks for all the follows and subscriptions, by the way. I've got the alerts turned off because it gets noisy when I do these types of streams. All right, so let's see how it looks. Shooting for that tree, a little bit out of trim. That's interesting. The rocket was actually higher. Rockets seem to fall a little bit as I kind of remember it. Like, you know, they come out and they kind of trend a little bit downward. I think maybe that's just not as replicated. I accidentally turned on the MMS. Anyway, it gets you in the area. If you don't want to waste rockets, you can use 50 to kind of walk yourself in. APKWS are not laser guided. Yeah, they are. I mean, that's the whole point of them. And we do have a laser. So we can head on out. We'll get some Hellfires so we can head on out. I am not using wind wing pedals. I have Verpal pedals. My gun was a little bit down and a little bit to the right. Pull a little bit of power, we'll do some bumps. I seriously though, like, I've spent hours just flying this thing, shooting the gun. It's so much fun. Set up a little range with some targets out there, just go out and just shoot. Because it's visceral. And I've told the story 1,000 times. Like when I went through gunnery in the Apache the first time, it is just so much work. It's not enjoyable. When we went to go shoot in the Kiowas for gunnery, it was pure fun. You just go out with guns and rockets and just fucking do it. Just point and shoot. Yeah, Bronco. Don't they have a Bronco mod? Like, I know what you're saying. You'd like to see it brought in full module. That would be cool. Alright, we'll go back to the FARP. We'll get some Hellfire. I would never do this in real life, by the way. Not like this. I've never flown under wires. It was like a big deal to fly under wires. It wasn't like this, at least from a training standpoint. I guess in real life you do what you gotta do, but I don't like messing around with wires. You do have the WISPUS, the wire strike protection system, which I don't think works at all in DCS. I don't think that's something that's modeled, and I wouldn't expect it to be asking a lot. But you do have it above you and below you, and then actually the canopy bow, for lack of a better term, that line there has got little teeth in it. They're kind of covered up with like this epoxy or something, so you don't really see them. You can kind of feel them. But if a wire were to hit the canopy, the idea is that it would drag up that, and those little teeth would kind of come out of that epoxy and then chop the wire. So yeah, it's kind of like a straight. I mean, it's obviously not as sharp, but I guess it doesn't need to be. But it would guide it up to the upper WISPUS, which I dare not take a. Which is right there, that kind of forward-facing blade. And there's the lower WISPUS. So it would hit that and get driven right up into there. And there's like a little cutter. You can see that opening right there. That's the final, like, that's your final chance. Survive. There's our FARP. Now, inevitably, someone is going to ask me if I've done any autos in it. I have not. Brundis has. He says it autos pretty well. The rotor, just the rotor mechanics in general are pretty good. But I have not autoed, and I dare not do it today in front of people, so I'll have to play with it. It's fucking smooth though. God, it feels good. Not smooth in an artificial way, like smooth like in, I know what a helicopter's supposed to feel like, and it's doing what I expect it to do. For instance, we've been, what, flying it for an hour? I haven't had a woe boy yet. I haven't had one of those moments where I'm like, whoa, what's it doing? I do like that we have the dust. I wish it was a little bit more severe, especially in an environment like this. I would probably not be doing this. That dust lets me get away with it. Grass looks cool. Again, I like to land with some forward airspeed. DCS does not like it when I do that. So we go on a fucking ride. There's my whoa boy. So you gotta be gingerly with your landings. Don't land like me. All right, let's take some Hellfires. Now we can carry 4 Hellfires, 2 on each side. That was very uncommon. In fact, the only time I ever did that was I was ferrying some Hellfires from literally one side of Kandahar to the other. Typically you would fly a Hellfire launcher on your right side and a rocket pod on your left side. It's anybody's guess. You might carry 2 Hellfires, you might carry 1. A Hellfire gun combo, probably not going to happen. Just because the sheer weight. And we really did, weight was massive. Weight was absolutely massive. You calculated it down almost to the bullet. I think it's like 100 rounds of 50 cal was like 33 pounds. An HE rocket was like 36 pounds. So that was the level of number crunching that you would get to go do your thing. It's strange that there's not a Hellfire rocket combination. All right, left. That's weird. I guess we could take some APKWS.
Request rearming.
I've not used them.
Copy.
John Blower, you were autoing at the end of yours, eating shit. Yeah. Yes, that's right. Kinku, see if I can drag it out here. I've not even looked at this, but here you go. This is, golly. Brundis was definitely involved in this. This stinks of him. It's cool though. It looks exactly like what I remember. Golly. Fuel 6.7 pounds per gallon. APKWS code 16. That's new for me. Left, what is this? Left alt, left shift, plus 2, 3, and 4 to switch APKWS code. Okay, cool. Basic aircraft weight, so 3788. Of course, every aircraft was different. Could be by a couple pounds, could be by a lot. Pilot and CPGU both calculated at 200 pounds each. The Hellfire launcher was 93 pounds. The harness was 12 pounds. Golly. I remember all this stuff. The rocket launcher is 34 pounds. The rocket harness. So the harness talking about like all the wires and shit. And then, so that's our operating weight. So 4304. And then we're adding our missiles. So we've got 2 missiles on boards at 199 pounds. And then 7 APKWS at 231 pounds. So whatever 231 divided by 7 is how much that rocket supposedly weighs. Which gives us, and then we've got 463 pounds of fuel, so that takes us at 5030. So we're underweight. 5200 is the max gross weight. That's crazy. And then yeah, so you got the drag. Oh my god, this was the worst part. This is the part I hated, and it really didn't do it that much. You didn't have to do it that often. It was like if you had like a very weird configuration, you had to kind of worry about the drag. But certainly for like check rides and stuff. So you had to like, okay, I have the mass mounted sight. That's standard, so nothing. Quick deployment gear is 1 point. God, I remember that, 1.2. UWPs were baseline. 50 cal was baseline, so it's removed. Rocket pod, so the baseline, yeah, it was rocket 50. Hellfire missiles, we're adding 1.5 because we got 2. We're talking about drag here. This is what we're working out. Hilarious. Crew doors are off. The ALQ, AVR2, which is the laser receiver. That's hilarious. You guys have outdone yourselves. Weight and balance. I love it. That's hilarious. Okay. He said 1688. All right, so we'll jump in the left seat, kind of take a look over here. Laser codes. Just hit that, it brings up the laser code. So it's a lot easier than the Apache, which you had to dig into like 9 different pages. I can tell you what, I didn't fully understand the lasers in the Apaches until I played DCS. Like, that's how fucking confusing it was, even when I flew the real thing. I was like, wait a minute, which page do I go to change the code? But how do I select the code I want to use? Like, it's so confusing. Here, you literally push a button that says code list, and then it brings up the code list. It's revolutionary. Let's go mass mounted sight. And then we want to select what laser we want. So it defaults to range. So right now, if I just shoot the laser, it's just giving me range data. I can just rotate through the ones that I have. So we wanted 1688. So there it is, 1688. It's an Apache bashing stream. I love the Apache. But I also think parts of it were just overly, you know, complicated. I'm just going to arm it now. I think a lot of this, so in real life, this is how we would have it. These switches would be down, this one would be up, this would be down. These are auto, so this is auto level, and Kinku could expand, but essentially, because you're in a video game, are you triggered? It doesn't have necessarily the same sort of data input that real life obviously would have, so it's unable to auto correct things that in real life it would, so you can't really like auto focus, but you can sort of manually mess with it, I guess. So anyway, you don't need to mess with that stuff, and then some of these things you don't really need to mess with. All we're going to worry about is just moving the thing around. And you can see over here, as I move it, there's that gun reticle, or that aiming point, if you will, if I want to shoot off the MMS like a barbarian. That I would not do. Yeah, Kinko says I'm correct. Alright, cool. I'm always conscious that when the devs are watching me do anything, I say the wrong thing. While we're bashing the Apache, I will point out we can take away the line for the direct waypoint. That was high on my list of things that I loved and I missed. This right here, and I know this doesn't matter in DCS, but this is how you selected your radios. You click it that way, it goes to radio 1. You click it that way, it goes to radio 4. And all that's indicated up here. I'm going to click one of these. And that little arrow moves based on the radio that I've selected. Now, for you Apache pilots, how do you change the radios in the Apache? You got to push that button and it rotates through. But don't push it too far, because you'll miss it. Now you got to do it all over again. Or you got to reach up to the thing and do... No, so easy. You just fly, you put your hand on it, you're just clicking, you don't even have to look. You just know. I went this direction, that's radio 1, it has to be. Now every now and then you might screw it up. You might call for tower clearance on the wrong frequency. I've never done that, but other people have. Brennus is trying to quote someone from above. I missed it. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of chatter. I apologize if I'm missing questions. I'm trying to address things, but otherwise I'd just sit here and read all the comments. But anyway, so that's the cool part about the radio. You don't have that capability on the in the left seat. Jump over the left seat. So typically what you would be doing is you would not have it on remote at all, because remote, you don't have a remote. That's the remote. This guy is set to remote, and that would be his remote. I don't really have a remote, so if I want to talk on radio 1, so you spend a lot of time with your hand kind of on your knee, and you were just twisting the radio knob and kind of tweaking these, because you might be talking on radio 2, you're having a really good conversation, and suddenly the idiot next to you starts talking too loud, so you turn this down real quick, turn that one up, then somebody starts talking on this one, so you turn it down, or you turn it up, you know, whatever. So you're going to spend a lot of time with your hand over there in the left seat. And then the other time, you're going to spend with your hand here, moving the side around and doing all the good things. I thought we were about to have a crashed desktop there. Alright, so we'll lock it forward. Alright, so let's, how far away is this? If I go direct, hang on. 4 whiskey. Long flight. We'll take off that way. Oh, it's so good. Like, normally I have to kind of think in DCS when I fly helicopters. Like, I have to really like concentrate on taking off. I was not concentrating on that at all. I was more panicking. I was like, oh, I didn't pull up my VSD. I'm a bad pilot. And so I was like trying to move my thumb. I was like, oh, I'm also hovering. Now might be a good time to bring in Barundus and allow him to fly for us, since he is the voice of the yet to be named AI. A high power laser code. What's that? All right, let's see if I had to remap all this, so I may screw this up.
All right, let's see if I can pick up
Yep.
a stable hover.
I hit the wrong button.
You have the controls. Roger that.
There, Barundus has the controls. I hit the wrong button. I tried to tell him to go to a hover. I don't recommend trying to tell him to go to hover when you're at 80 knots. So right now I'm completely hands off. I can go in either seat. He's gonna keep flying. I can bring up that control and I can see what he's doing. So right now he's set to cruise. He's going at whatever knots, 78 knots. Let's say we want to go a little bit faster. I'm just gonna bump that up. So that red marker is gonna move and he's gonna attempt to get to the red marker. Now I don't know if he's gonna see wires. I think we're high enough, we're gonna be okay. But if not, we could climb a little bit. Actually, did I hit the wrong button? Oh, that's the radar. Oh, I was looking at the wrong thing. How come that's not working? I think I have that mapped wrong. Hang on. Stand by. Oh, wait a minute. That's pilot. Oops. Yeah, I didn't map it. Somehow it eluded me. So we're gonna go to AI pilot actions. No, AI pilot. There it is. All right, so decrease altitude. I want increase altitude. I guess I missed. Oh yeah, I missed it. Stupid God. Hate myself. Same deal. I think we can recover, but I'm just moving, you know, that switch, and that he's gonna seek that number, and that's what we want. I will say it's a little twitchy. It's a little fast. It's hard to fine tune an altitude, so I don't know if that's just me and the switch that I'm using. But nevertheless, so it's showing you barometric and radar altimeter, so you can see as things are changing. There's other tasks, which I'm not going to get into. But you can tell him to fly NOE, nap of the earth. You can tell him to fly terrain flight, low level, all these things. I'm not gonna mess with that because I don't have it mapped. I do want to avoid hitting wires though. If we could do that. But super simple. I can tell him to turn. Okay, and we can see what heading he's turning on. Once again, I'm really just moving that red dial and he's just seeking it. And then if we were in a hover, we can actually slide left and right, and that is giving us our rate of movement. And I have a video. Maybe I'll post it tomorrow. I don't remember when I'm supposed to post it or when I decided to post it, but it'll go through all this stuff and you'll see it in action. But it is super smooth. Now, one thing I am missing, and I don't know if that was a separate switch or maybe it's no longer there. Where's that control indicator? Not the regular control. Where's that thing at? There was an indicator, and I don't remember how to bring it up because it's been too long. But it'll actually show you your controls compared to the AIs, and so it makes it easier for you to transition. I don't remember what it's called. I'm not going to spend a lot of time digging for it, but what I'm going to do, without even having that, I'm just going to move the controls to roughly where I think they should be based on what he's doing. Right control, is that the same? Oh, it is on the right control inner. Okay, that's it. You guys can't see it, unfortunately. Let me see if I can. Let me move my stuff around here. Hang on. I gotta unlock my screen. I gotta I'm not gonna. Just believe me that it's there. It shows my controls in addition to where he's at. So I just kind of match it up.
Okay, you have the controls.
And just take over. I didn't have it matched up quite the way that I should have, but you can see it's not doing some crazy ass maneuver, which is what makes me happy. Let me switch this over to HSD so I can see where I'm going.
Roger that.
There. So super handy. Obviously he's not gonna evade fire. At least I don't think so. That'd be pretty cool. So you can jump into the left seat. I don't have the M4 mapped properly. I think I can pull it out, and that's pretty much the extent of it. I don't remember how to. I don't have it mapped. How to put it away. Terrible. I haven't spent a lot of time with the M4. In real life, it's awesome shit. I know people have asked me how hard is it to shoot real life. It's actually a lot easier than you think it is. There is some ballistic science that you gotta know about, like, you know, how the bullet rolls or spins and things like that. But generally speaking, I mean, you're not shooting those trees with the rifle. You're shooting like right here. You know, you're shooting at dudes hiding behind trees and stuff like that. So you're pretty close, and you're putting down a lot. You're not trying to be like, you know, Chris Kyle type shit. You're just hammering away. The problem was all the brass would start to accumulate, and if you try to stick the rifle out so the brass wouldn't, here, let me pull the rifle out again. Right, the ejection is right there. So holding it here, the brass is going to pop. It's probably going to hit here, but it's going to bounce somewhere. Inevitably, some of it's going to get down here. The problem could be it could get kind of mixed up in the controls. So that was something you had to be careful of. Don't crash this. But if you tried to stick it out into the wind to sort of avoid that problem, it would sometimes cause a jam because the you know, the wind is just kind of pushing it back in there. Excuse me. So I don't think I know somebody said click on the M4, but I don't know how to do it. I've only done it once and I wasn't very good at it, so I'm just gonna put it away. The shooting M4 was cool. In DCS, I don't know that I'm gonna risk it. I don't know. With the AI, the way they shoot, they're pretty good. So for me to get close enough to be good with the M4, probably means I'm gonna die horribly. I'll try to avoid that scenario. But in real life, it's also a deterrent. You know, I chased a guy away from stealing some concertina wire, some barbed wire that had been strewn up to cover this culvert to prevent people from putting IEDs in under this road. And we came across these guys stealing some shit. And I just pulled my rifle out and flew over to him and just like stuck it out and pointed at him and then just like wagged my finger at him. They got the message. It was good for that. Again, AI probably not going to help. Left Alt C or double click the middle mouse. Maybe it's the middle mouse button. I'll try one more time and then I'm going to give up because I don't care that much about shooting the M4. It's not exciting to me. I know the community wanted this. There it is. Left Alt C got me. It sounds very loud. Like a cannon. And I guess with VR you get a lot more sort of motion. I haven't tried it with VR, but I did have a boss shoot holes in the bottom of the aircraft one time. You had to be careful with the M4. I've seen him go bad. What happens if I just... Oh, it just jumps over. Okay. Yeah, you gotta be careful with the M4.
Roger. You have the controls.
Shoot holes in the blades, things like that. Where we gotta go? Oh, we're almost there. Get rid of that. play with the MMS for a little bit. So the co-pilot is essentially the gunner. No, because again, the guy in the left seat does not have the whoop-ass switch, so he can't shoot anything. He can shoot the laser. It really is a two-man job. By this thing. But with the AI help and with your ability to kind of just map things over there, you can do stuff. Like I've done stuff from the right seat while using the MMS. It's not preferred, but it can be done. The stingers are cool. I will give that. I've never shot stingers on the Kiowa. I know Brundus did. I'm pretty sure he did. I mean, it's relatively anticlimactic, but it's easy. It's easy to do. Shooting Hellfires is actually pretty anticlimactic as well. It's kind of like shoot them. Oh, I was like, what is that red thing? We got a little town up here. I don't know these people. Careful. So we are 2 kilometers from waypoint 4, I think. Oh, there's the APR-39. I do have a Shilka over there, so I need to be careful. The APR-39 is hilarious sounding, though. Now, the APR-39 is not a smart system. It is going to... Where's my mouse cursor? Lost my cursor. Is it because of the fucking M4? Probably.
Roger that.
Oh, yeah, we're still there, I guess. There it is. All right. Let's put that away. All right, so important safety tip. Make sure you put your gun away. There we go. All right, so the APR-39 is not a very smart system. It's going to tell you things like SA6, SA8, SA2. That does not mean it's an SA6, SA8, or SA2. It just, that's how it categorizes
Roger. You have the
types of radar. So it only has so much memory, if you will. And I know this because I used to be a EWO guy, so I had to program all these things and all that bullshit. But so if it says SA2, what it really means is like long range radar, and then it kind of is based off what it's been programmed to look for in your sort of threat area. All right, so let's. I don't remember where I am, so let's get set up.
All right, let's see if I can pick up a stable hover.
Let Brundus take over. Jump back over to this seat and kind of look at what we got going on here. So we'll go to HSD Plus. We can bring up the moving map, which looks like, you know, crap in the context of it's old school, but you know, back in the day, this was awesome stuff. All right, so that's waypoint 4. So waypoint 5, I think, is to the north. Or did I make a waypoint? I think actually I just left it alone. Let's take a look at the F10 map. All right, so yeah, we've got some stuff to the north. Now the MMS is also not amazing. So if you're expecting Apache level visibility, you're not going to get it. Not there. I don't know how high he's going to try to go, so I'm going to bring up that menu. Oh yeah, he's going way too high. Yeah, I think it's just a little too sensitive. I only clicked it 3 times and it was got up pretty high. So We can do this type of scanning. Oh, is that our guy right there? I think that's it. All right, so I know I put some trucks and stuff in the tree line. Yeah, there we go. So you can see, I mean, this is about as good as a scan as we can get. We've got the system arm, aircraft arm. I'm gonna laze. So that's 7,500 meters away. We can kind of tell what we're looking at. There's a truck. There's a truck. There's a truck. There's a radar. We're pretty extreme range. Let's see. I guess we could shoot a Hellfire at this guy. We're within range. So let's take a look at that. We're going to jump over back to the right seat. I'm going to bring up my Hellfires. Let's go to weapons setup. All right, we've got one set on Alpha code, one set on Bravo. I'm just going to change that to 2 because I don't have a wingman. All right, so, oh, it didn't do it. What am I doing wrong? Oh, it's probably because I'm armed. Maybe. Not doing it. I'm missing something. What am I missing? Trying to remember. Systems armed. The weapons are not. Hang on. We're still in standby. It's fine. I'm probably doing something and I'm messing it up. No, that's the. It should be the. It should be. Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. It's. That's what. I'm here. I'm thinking I'm here. Missiles per code. That's. Thank you. 100%. I was looking at it wrong. There. Yeah, you got to go to the weapons page. This is primary alternate code. So primary code is alpha. Yeah, there you go. 100%. I was on the wrong page. Enter Bravo. Enter. It's already there. All right, so we got 2 set on primary alpha. That's what we want. Everything else is good. All right, so we'll go to weapons. We're gonna have to bring it to. We'll bring it to normal. So it's selecting the missile. In norm, it's gonna select the interior missile. And the idea was that if you had to jettison this launcher off for some reason, you don't want an inboard missile and not an outboard because the way it falls, it might hit the skids. I don't know if that's true or not, but that was the reasoning. If you, for whatever reason, let's say that missile was messed up and we didn't know, you know, we couldn't use it, we could go to manual mode and then step the missile to the outboard if we wanted to, but there's really no point in that. So we can see that it's spooled both of them up on alpha code. It's telling us that both missiles are ready. And we've got our lock on before launch, which is what we want. It's kind of the difference between the Kiowa and the Apache. The Apache kind of defaults to low owl, and we default to low ball. We can change it if we want, but we don't. All right, let's jump back over and see if we can't get this guy. All right, so we can see, looking over here, the MMS is looking down and to the right. That's what that triangle or that diamond is telling us. So we know we're looking. We know we're in constraints. So as soon as I squirt the laser, we should be able to get the constraints box. All right, so in real life, what you should do is verify that little X. Jump over again. I'll squirt the laser. See that little X that pops up right there? It needs to be in coincidence with the diamond. Meaning, if suddenly the X appeared over here, that's telling us that the seeker head is looking over there. The seeker head is looking at something else. Which means you could, in theory, use the Hellfire like a poor man's laser spot tracker. Because technically, if somebody squirted this laser code and it was ready to pick up a laser code and it picked one up, you'd see an X over here and you'd be like, oh, there's where it's looking, and then you could move your sight over there. Anyway, but yeah, backscatter is really what you're looking for. Is you're trying to make sure that it's not picking up something erroneous. And it's just a split second. It's not something you're not like studying it. Like, oh, let's double check. It's just something you're checking. I lost my target. I should have stored it, but I'm a bad pilot. Damn, where was that guy? I think he was down over here somewhere. I don't even remember if I have that button mapped. Where's that joker? I'm much better at this stuff when I'm not also trying to talk at the same time. There he is. There's our radar. All right, so let's see if I have it mapped to store. All right, so we want to Target locate. I'm going to squirt the laser for a couple seconds. And then it's going to ask me store or reject. 99 Tango. Yep, that's what we want. We want to store that. So now 99 Tango is stored in our target list. Let's see. Nav setup. Target list. And we'll go previous page. So 99 Tango, that's the grid. So if we need to pass that information on to somebody else, there you go. You've got that capability. Back to the MMS. So that's our guy. We could set it up as a pre-point. I'm not going to do that now just because I want to shoot this guy. All right, so this is where we can do everything from one seat. So I've got the fire switch set up. So all I got to really do is, shoot the laser. I've got constraints. And I think, oh no, I went back to safe because we were playing with that thing. Oh, I love it. Kinky, you did it. You fixed it. We'll talk about it in a second. All right, so missile is away. And I know you did it right, Kinko, because I felt it. I felt what I told you about. We got time of flight counter going over there. 15 seconds, 13. See if we actually hit. Kablooey. So what I had a feeling there is a delay, and it is a more than noticeable delay from the time you pull the trigger to the time the missile actually goes off the rail. And in real life, I remember the first time I shot a Hellfire in combat, I thought something had gone wrong. I knew there was a delay, but it's like that uncomfortable, like, oh shit, what did I, and it shoots off. So they've added that in, and I know it works because, again, I felt uncomfortable that I had done something wrong when I pulled the trigger. So I'll shoot another one, and I'll tell you when I pull the trigger, and then we'll see when it launches. All right, so there's our guy. We could point track, but set acquire, all that bullshit. We're good. All right, so we're lasing. We're in coincidence. Fire. There it goes. So you can see it's a good like second or so. We'll keep lasing. And hopefully we hit the target. And then we'll switch over to the APKWS, which again, I have not used at all. I don't know if there's some special setup, so I'm sure chat will tell me. Where are we at? These are long shots. I mean, we're shooting at 7.5K. That's max effective range according to the book is 8K. The unclassified book. So it's a long flight. Louis. Alright, so let's jump back over. Alright. Devs, tell me what I'm doing wrong, because I don't know. So I'm going to go rockets. I know they're already pre-programmed. Oh, there it is. Square the laser and I saw that move. Now, I'm guessing the range is pretty intense, and you have to have some sort of super elevation. That's what I'm going to guess. I'm going to try shooting it from this range without doing any super elevation because I want to see what happens. My gut tells me the missile or the rocket is not going to make it. I guess technically it's a missile, right? I mean, it's guided. It's set the type for Q behavior. Okay. But it shouldn't reach. It doesn't have the ass to make it 7.5K at a flat trajectory. I'm guessing. I'm willing to bet. 7.5K. Let's go to weapon setup. Q. Yeah. Okay. Super quick. Not an airburst, so nothing should matter. Let's just shoot it. See what happens. All right. One of these bad boys. Lasing. We're not going to get a time of flight. I never shot APKWS in real life. They were very expensive. And we didn't even have them. Oh, I saw it land right there. It landed right up in there. So yeah, it just doesn't have the ass, which I expected, and that's fine. Now let's try and... Ooh, this is gonna be tough. How am I gonna do this? I'm gonna have to take control.
You have the controls.
Easy, easy. Oh shit, oh shit. Brundus, what have you done? I did not have enough collective pull down when I took control. That's why it's important to check your control indicator. That's fine. What we will do... The risks. Actually, will it let me do that? Oh, it's not letting me... Well, fuck you then. How about that? I'll just restart it. It is fun going down memory lane. I'm just gonna put stuff closer because I don't want to fly all that way out there. Let's see. Copy. I'm gonna put it right over here. East. I'm gonna get rid of the Shilka because I don't want to get shot down. All right, and we'll just put that at waypoint 2. That way I know where to go. All right, cool. Let's do that. Oh no, VRS, there we go again. 0. 0 times. What was that sound? I'm going full APKWS. It's just a bug. Exactly, Bronus. I did that on purpose. I was demonstrating what happens. So, no shit. I don't know if I ever told you this story, Baron, but like literally my last flight in flight school, my check ride, we were coming in at night to one of the RTs in Molinelli and do laser ops. I was in the left seat and the guy I was flying with, oh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. He was wild. Like he was probably certifiable. He was a fun guy, but he was a little bit woo. And we're coming in and I'm flying.
Rearming complete.
And yeah, that's right. I was flying. He says, he starts a transfer of controls. He's like, I have the controls. And I'm like, all right, you have the control. And I assumed he wanted me to get ready to do laser ops. Well, then he said something. He said it so fast. And this is my fault too, because the process had started, right? He said something, I said something, he said something. I let go of the controls. Well, what he had done was say, never mind, or some shit like that. I don't remember what he said. So I let go of the controls. He's not on the controls. Brother, let me tell you, that cyclic went like this. And I'm under goggles. And the aircraft just pitches forward like this. And I'm thinking, that's really weird. Like, why would he do that? And that's when I kind of realized, like, nobody's flying this thing. And I watched the tip path plane, the edge of the rotor disc, just drop, like, below my feet, essentially. And that's when I realized no one's flying this thing. And we were about like 40, 50 feet. And I reached, in the dark, just like, and just trying to grab the controls. He did the same thing. We pulled it out. And I just like, what happened? And he just started laughing. He was like giggling. It was, I said, can we just set it down for a second? I need a second. Because I was like, I just failed flight school. Like this, like somehow I'm responsible for this. But he laughed it off. That guy was nuts. All right, we want to go. Where are we going? Waypoint 2. All right, we're good. All right. Sure, I'm forgetting something. God, it feels so good though. It really does. It really. I know I keep saying that, but it just it's a breath of fresh air. Flies really well. I am a spoiled Apache brat though. I'm used to having multiple screens now, so I can't function. You do a lot of this in real life. You're like, okay, radar, Zeus, 12 o'clock tracking. All signals lost. Oh, I see him. All right.
Roger that.
Horrendous, don't fail me. Again. Let's tell you what, let's go pre-point. Pre-point to whiskey enter. And then because of the fucking altitudes, ED! Long has that been one of my gripes about waypoints being defaulted to 6,000 feet in the air. Why do they do it? Just put it on the fucking ground. Zero elevation. AGL. But thank God we can open the engine cowling and look at the goodies inside. Like, I know it's just different people. I got it. I understand. It's just it's one of my pet peeves. Unknown 12 o'clock tracking. Alright. See, now we're at 5,000 feet. Or 5,000 feet. 5 kilometers. I won't have to super elevate. I don't think so. LMC on. A little bit to the left. Let's see. Again, I don't have any expectations of what's going to happen. Oh, yeah, it's going to go right down into the dirt. That's fine. So what we need to do, and this is what I was trying to do before Barundus crashed us.
You have the controls.
Is super elevate, because that's what we should probably have to do. This is a little bit more challenging. Oh, I don't have the wrong fucking range. Why didn't you guys tell me? See if we can catch it. Oh, we did! Yeah. Victory. But you see, you gotta like toss it up there, because it's a rocket. So have you ever watched like those videos in Ukraine of the Mi-8s and stuff, and they like rocket back? That's what they're doing. The max effective range for a rocket was roughly 7 something Ks, but that was with like a 30-degree nose up shot. Like when we shot in gunnery, and we'd shoot MPSMs, which yeah, Barundus is telling me use the thing exactly. Like I've done that 3 times my whole life. Because you remember back in like old days, we'd shoot MPSMs, we'd shoot Illume rockets and shit like that for gunnery, and then we just never did it again. We just would do diving attacks. But in order to get the range, you'd have to really kind of pull the nose back on the aircraft and shoot it that way. So that's what you're gonna have to do with these, because you got to get them the distance. They don't have the ass. It's hard to do with one person. Really, all you should do is laze. Whoops.
Roger.
Just laze, and then the other guy would match and shoot, as it were. Can you just use them as dumb rockets? I assume so. Oh, way off. To be fair, we never shot from the left seat like this, so that's fun. Got one. Oh, log's broken. Those Mi-8 rockets are not laser guided. No, they're dumb. But that's my point. Is what you're seeing with that is they're just shooting rockets, and that's why they're shooting so many. Is because they've calculated that okay, at this angle, these rockets should go this far. So if I shoot from this point and this heading at this angle, they should land roughly here. It's artillery. It's aerial artillery. Yeah, so those are not laser guided. But my point is, it's the same concept in the sense that if I want that rocket to be able to go 7 kilometers, even if it's laser guided, I gotta help it. I gotta super elevate it. And that's what we're saying. So for more to shoot here, obviously it's right there. But if I needed to shoot way out there, you know, I'm what, 10, 15 degrees nose high right now. And that would get me several kilometers. Okay, well those are easy. I mean, just shoot rockets. APR 39 came through that headset. Yeah, there was no speakers. We tried it one time. We tried to set up speakers to listen to music during a long flight. You just can't hear the music. It's too loud in the cockpit. So there you go. APKWS works like Hellfire, just not. We never had. I don't know. Did anyone ever shoot APKWS off Kiowas, other than like in testing. I don't think it was ever deployed in time. The only time I ever saw them was in my last deployment, and that was when I was an Apache guy. That was 2018. And as I've said multiple times, I saw a dude take one to the chest, and it was fucking legit. They were very accurate. That dude went several directions at once. I always hated flying from the left seat. I know Brundis is probably very astute at it because he was an instructor pilot, but it always just felt weird to me. Because you'll notice you're not centered, right? You're not centered with the screen. You really were offset, and so it felt weird because your brain and your eyes sort of naturally gravitate to want to be like this to try to make some sort of symmetry there, but it's not. That's dead ahead. So it felt a little weird. And the collective is silly, you know. It's very tiny. Yeah, I did not like flying from the left seat. It just felt very weird to me. Cool. Well, I don't know. Only in test. KW was the first to have APKWS LG selection. Right on. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think they were deployable, and they were really expensive, and that's what I like with DCS players. I know there's gonna be dudes just rocking the 14 APKWS, and I get it. It's not very realistic at all. I mean, even when we had them in Iraq and Syria, you'd only have a few on board. So they're very expensive, but cheaper than Hellfires, I'm sure. So in the long run, good, but my point is they weren't prevalent. They weren't just laying around, you know. It is a game. That's correct. You got me there. I don't think they were that expensive. Hellfire's 100, but I think they could be. I don't remember. I didn't sign for them. Well, actually I did, but I didn't pay attention because I didn't care. Shoot them if you got something. I did have to sign for some when I was troop commander, but it's ammo. As long as you could account for you're shooting it at somebody. And of course you always had tape. Well, generally you had tape. So back in the day we had the 8mm tapes that you would put in the aft compartment, and the little tape player, and 9 times out of 10 it would eat the tape. So you'd pull it out and it would just be like, you know. And then they went to the digital thing, that little Pemka card or whatever that would pop into there. Yeah. Pretty cool. I don't know. I like it. Like I said, I can't say enough good things about the flight model. I think it really flies really well. I mean, the only woe boys we've had today are ground friction, which is totally not a systemic problem. Only a Kiowa issue. You guys model FADEC? Is it gonna go crazy if I hit the FADEC button? Oh yeah, it does. Oh god. Oh, I'm in so much trouble. I've broken it. So that's your FADEC, your full authority digital electronic control. That's kind of like your cruise control for fuel. So when you turn it off, you really are supposed to adjust the throttle, because right now I've got it like max blast. It's set all the way to 100%. So if you turn it off, that's what's going to happen. So that's what happened there. That's pretty cool. Obviously, I've never done that in real life, so I wanted to see what would happen. I didn't expect it to actually do it. So what did we get? Oh god, how do I? Ooh, let's see if I can remember how to pull that up. How? All right. Yes. God, what was that page? Where were the exceedances at? Oh, ugh. What page was that on? I don't remember. I don't remember how to do it. Yeah, but where was that at? Like, I don't remember. Was that in the fiddle? Oh yeah, engine history. Oh, it doesn't work. Fading one. Okay. Yeah, that's where you would check. You know, to see how in trouble you were if you pulled a number. So when I got shot, the funny story about that, it became such a routine. Because if there was ever any sort of exceeding where you got a bong or something, you would check that to see like, oh, did we exceed something or was it just erroneous or a transient? But when I got shot, the bullet that hit me actually went through the collective. So I can only imagine that it went like that as the bullet passed through. And so we were banging and bopping and we had limit exceedance. Of course, I mean, I'm bleeding and I'm hurt and there's stuff. But I very distinctly remember reaching up and hitting those buttons to check to see how bad the engine torque had been. And I remember doing it because it was just like you know, it was like muscle memory, like, oh, I gotta check these numbers, even though I'm like, ah. And as I'm going through the process, I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I doing this? So, primacy of learning, as Brundis talks about quite a bit. Rightly so. All right. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
He's all over the place. 900 feet up to 1,300 feet. What an asshole.
Yeah, that's right. And go piss and bleed because you did something wrong. I never had to do that. I've never been in a situation. I mean, I guess technically I bled, but maybe they took my urine afterwards. I don't think they could count that one against you when you get shot. Did they count that against you, Brennan? I remember you were more lucid when you got hit. You got hit in the leg. Remembering that correctly? You get hit in the leg. I know we've talked about it many times. Right leg, that's it. I was right arm, you were right leg. And Cody got it in the ass. Right where he deserved it. Oh, I thought that was the FARP. I'm so lost. It doesn't matter. Well, this is super cool. I'm excited. I think it's going to be tremendous. I know there's some questions about, well, what is its utility in DCS? And I make jokes about DCS being a game. It is a game that you can also treat as a simulator. And I think it takes a lot of sort of like your mental... Oh, I hate flying from the left seat. How you treat things is what's a simulation. Right? That's much better landing, but you gotta come in straight down. Limit exceeded. It's like, hey, motherfucker, you're not getting away with this. You did something wrong. So how can we use it in DCS? Look, you gotta have the right scenario. So are you gonna log on to Airquake and dominate with this? No, not at all. But if you are with a group of people, thanks for all the follows and stuff, by the way, and subscriptions. With a group of people, you're in an organization that likes to do things, there's absolutely a role. The thing that we just did there, go find this air defense, you know, go eliminate the Shilka. I'm not scared of Shilkas. If I know where they are, I'm not scared of them. It's when I don't know where they are that they make me concerned. Find the Shilka, kill the Shilka. Okay, cool. Now the Apache can come in and do stuff, or, you know, whatever the situation is. But you kind of build these scenarios. So I think that that's going to be where this aircraft shines. And then just in general helicopter simulation for guys who like to just fly around. It's a fun fly. So what I want to do after it's released, I'm going to give you guys some time to learn shit. But we're going to do a competition. We're going to do a 50 cal gunnery competition. Maybe rockets too, but we're going to set up some sort of competition, some sort of gunnery thing. I'll talk to some people. We'll get some prizes or something set up. But because it is 100% like you. There's no systems helping you. It's you. And that's what I love about it, and that's why it's so much fun. So we're going to get that set up at some point, but we'll let it come out, hopefully, not 2 weeks, right? Not 2 weeks, because we said it was 2 weeks like 2 weeks ago, or a week ago, or something like that. So soon, I know roughly when, but at the same time, please remember that it takes two to tango, okay? So this is a third-party module. Eagle Dynamics is still the granddaddy. And they decide when things, you know, there's discussions back and forth. Discussions that I'm not involved in. Because I'm not an employee of Polychop. So once those things are decided, you will know. They're not doing a pre-order. I know some people are freaking out about that because they're like, they think that it's far away because they haven't done a pre-order. That's just what they've decided. They put that out forever ago. They're not going to do a pre-order. So when it's ready, it will come on. Turn this off. And I think it's going to be soon. I mean, it's fucking ready. Just launch it right now. It's coming soon. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. Thanks a lot for hanging out and watching. Hopefully you learned something, or if nothing else, you know, you got something out of seeing it in action. I do want to do some videos kind of showing different roles. Understand my life is about to get super busy. I'm starting my new job in 2 weeks, and then I'll be gone for training. And then immediately when I get back from training, like literally the next day, moving from this house to another house, I got to get that set up. Then I got to go back to more training. So I'm going to be super busy. I do have a ton of tutorials put out for this, and I'm just kind of popping them out, just like I did with the F-15 leading up to an eventual release. But I'm not going to tell you how many videos there are. So you're just going to have to guess when it's released, but hopefully very soon. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys having fun with it. I know helicopters are not for everyone because not everyone can be a man or a woman, but you're gonna have fun with it. So thanks a lot, guys. Thanks Sven and Barundus and Kinku and everybody else, John Blore, for doing what I'm sure there was shenanigans that I missed. You know, don't listen to the hate, just have fun. It's a game. Relax, live your life, be excellent to each other, and be good people. We'll talk to you later.